Hello and welcome once again to the video. In this one, I shall be continuing my look at each Grand Prix in the 2026 Formula One World Championship. A short video today. Well, actually at this point, having only just started recording, you'll be the ones that will know whether or not it was a short video. But hopefully it is, because I've got to shoot outside into the sun, basically, on a little trip. I love it when it's super hot. Hot, dry, dusty. That's the sort of weather I like. And that's what it is at the moment in the southeast of England. Okay, so my usual routine is to write down the finishing order of the Grand Prix, along with the rundown of the top 10 in the championship, and the rundown of the Constructors' Championship. Just get that straight. Okay, so this was round 5, Canada. I love this circuit, I've said it before, because it hasn't really changed since the Canadian Grand Prix first came back in about 87. It's not really changed, so I see lots of corners and I'm reminded of things that happened on those corners. I'm always talking about the hairpin, Nigel Mansell, 1991, and I remember what I was doing the next day because I was so distraught. See, nowadays, as an older person, it seems ridiculous to get distraught about what happens to a sports person who has no connection to me whatsoever, apart from coming from the same country. But when I was 20 in 1991, that was the sort of thing that stressed me out. Now it's other bigger, more important things that stress me out. Right, so let's dive in, shall we, with the rundown. Now, firstly, is that in focus? Oh, hang on, don't. Be careful, easy, careful. Okay, that wasn't easy. Right. I'm going to write them down here, making sure it stays in focus, because that's always a bit of a problem. Or it can be a problem anyway. First, Antonelli. Now let's check the focus. So just talk amongst yourselves for a moment, because I just need to make sure that this is definitely in focus. Third is Verstappen. You can see that I'm actually recording this in a different location as well, in the house, because I'm not on my own in the house. There's 4 of us in the house because we're going out soon. And so I have to keep them quiet and tuck myself away somewhere. Can't use my normal location to record. 4th was Leclerc. 5th, Hadjar. What a fantastic race it was, though. I loved it. Colapinto. Lawson. Gasly, Sainz, Bearman. 11th was Piastri, and then Hulkenberg. Then we had Bortoleto. Bottas. That was the last of the finishers. And then we had Perez. So I'll put a little line there, last of the finishers. Norris. Russell. Alonso. 21. 22. Lindblad. But Lindblad didn't actually start, so technically he shouldn't even really be on there because he didn't start the race. So I'll put another line there. Okay. Championship rundown. First, Antonelli, 131. Second, Russell, 88. Let me get this focus. Better be focused. You need to be focused. That's good. Third place is Leclerc, 75. Fourth, Hamilton, 72. Fifth, Norris on 58. Then it's Piastri on 48. Then it's Verstappen. 43. Gasly. 20. Bearman. 18. Lawson, 16. Okay, so Constructors' Championship we have, of course, Mercedes, 219. Second, Ferrari, 147. Let's just tap that. 147. Go. Then we have McLaren, 106. Followed by Red Bull, 57. Followed by Alpine on 35. They're doing well this year. Sixth, Racing Bull. Never pronounce the S because it's silly. Racing Bull. And Haas. 19. Williams, they're having a bit of a shocker. On 7. Audi on 2. Cadillac still ahead of Aston Martin. Who would have thought that Cadillac, a brand new team, on 0 points, would be ahead of Aston Martin in the championship? Okay, so there we go. Okay, so let's just write down here 5 wins for Mercedes, 4 for Antonelli, 1 for Russell. Fastest lap, Antonelli. So what did we think of that race? Got to keep this relatively short, sharp and sweet whilst the household is quiet. I thought that was the best race of the season so far. It's a fantastic race, I thought. I thought they got the... Afterwards, Hamilton was commenting and Verstappen on how difficult it was to overtake, but it seemed like the perfect balance was there, I thought. Not incredibly easy like the first 3 races, but also not like last year, which is what Miami was more like. This was a happy medium, and the cars were able to run very close to each other. Now, that could be track specific, of course. That plays a big side of it, a big role, on how close these cars can ride together. Long straights and sharp corners allow for running closer together rather than sort of fast bends, fast curves, fast corners. Fast sweeping corners are not so good. But anyway, as a standalone race, if you like, this was a fantastic one. I wasn't pleased to see Russell retire. At the end of the day, I'm English, you know, I want the Brit to do well that's in the running for the championship. But I still thought it was the best race this year. Fantastic stuff. And of course, Hamilton doing really well. But the scrap between Antonelli and Russell, which we had in both qualies and both races, is fantastic. Russell just getting the edge on Antonelli in the quali in both races, and then the scrap in the sprint race was fantastic. I'm not a fan of sprint races, as I always say, but it's still more enjoyable than watching second and third practice. So I would rather it be there than not be there, but I would also rather the race simply be longer if it was possible for drivers and cars to do that. I would prefer simply for the race to be 10 laps longer, which I'm sure they could do. But fantastic scrap between Antonelli and poor old Russell, which Russell won, but he didn't win from being the quickest driver, as Martin Brundle very well put it. This weekend has shown Russell being the more composed, more in control, more mature driver, but Antonelli being the slightly quicker driver. That's something I was going to say anyway, but because Martin Brundle said it more than once, I can't say it without it looking like I'm copying him. So therefore that's why I'm saying as Martin Brundle said. But I was going to say it anyway. Antonelli slightly faster, but slightly more over the edge. Emotionally as well in the car. Very punchy with his remarks. Toto Wolff had to come on during the sprint race and tell him, I'm normally quite good at an Arnold Schwarzenegger impression, which I can do for Toto Wolff, but in the heat of the moment on stage like this, it will probably come off bad, so I won't do it. Come on, Kimi, something like that. So it's yeah, it was good. Fantastic scrap between Russell and Antonelli, and then that was continued in the race as well. Some great manoeuvres. It was so Prost versus Senna in the McLarens in 88 and 89. It was so Prost v McLaren. And is the championship shaping up with a little bit like, say, 1989? Or 88, you could say as well. But in 89 in particular, Prost was the sort of more composed driver, but Senna was the quicker driver. And Senna was having all the bad luck, though. It's the other way around here. So if Russell is supposed to represent Alain Prost, that's not quite working, because it's Russell getting a lot of bad luck. And Antonelli getting some good luck, of course, in... where was it? Japan. And safety car came out. That jumped Antonelli from third to first. But then you could also say Antonelli was on pole, so he was the quicker driver that weekend, you could possibly say, certainly in quali. But then he has had Australia, of course. He smashed up his car in Australia in a big accident, but due to a red flag in Q1, they were able to refix it. The qualifying issues that Russell had in China, this retirement. I can see why Russell thinks things are going against him, but these things, well, I was going to say they balance out over the time, but they don't necessarily balance out during one season. They certainly didn't in 89, with all the bad luck that Senna had. Prost cruised to the title in the end, despite being way slower all year than Senna. But Senna just kept on having retirements. And 87, of course, Piquet stroked his way to the championship despite finishing second behind Mansell most of the season. The problem is when Mansell retired, Piquet would win. and Piquet just didn't retire. Mansell only finished a few races that year in 87. So unfortunately, it can last a whole year, the bad luck run. There's more races these days, of course. So do I still think Russell is going to win the championship? Yes. Yes, I do think he's still going to win the championship, because I think Antonelli is going to... Oh, I don't know, though, because last year it was easier to say Norris was going to win the championship and stick to that, because Norris was the quicker driver all last year, quicker than Piastri. And I think he has been on balance this year as well. It was just a question of Norris getting past his ability to deal with the car. And so therefore he was making mistakes in qualifying, which was hampering him in the race. As soon as he got on top of the car, then his natural speed advantage over Oscar won him the championship. But Russell does not seem to have a speed advantage over Antonelli. Certainly not in this race. This was very impressive by Antonelli. Yeah, he made loads of mistakes all over the place, but his speed was unbelievable. But of course Russell was able to get past Antonelli as well on occasions during the race when Antonelli had managed to get in front. But I still think Antonelli had the edge for speed on a circuit that Russell is very comfortable with. But also Russell has all the pressure at the moment and Antonelli has zero pressure. So who knows? I'm sort of 50-50 as to whether or not I think Russell will win the championship. Which one will win? I think it will come down to who stays the most in control of their emotions, who's the most composed. We saw Oscar lose it a little bit last year, despite being a robot in the first part of the season. But that's because Oscar had no pressure. Norris wasn't in the races. He had taken himself out during qualifying. Piastri, in a dominant McLaren, would cruise to victory. So in that sense, at the moment, it's very similar to last year. But I would say not quite, because this has been mainly down to bad luck. Antonelli has won 4 on the trot due to a combination of his raw speed, but also some good fortune for him and some bad fortune for Russell. Whereas last year, it wasn't bad luck. It was Norris not being able to get used to the car. Apart from Miami, where Norris did qualify well, but then got taken out by Verstappen at the start. Not permanently taken out, but knocked down the field. You know, I would liken these 4 wins on the trot to Rosberg's 4 wins on the trot at the beginning of 2016. And I still thought, after those 4 wins for Rosberg, I still thought Hamilton was going to win the championship, and he only lost it by 5 points, winning the last 4 races of the season and actually winning 10 races to Rosberg's 9 throughout the whole year. Despite Rosberg winning the first 4, and that's because Hamilton was having bad luck, mostly in qualifying. And that's what's happening here. But you tend to make your luck. And I think what that refers to, when people say, oh, you know, you make your good luck, you make your bad luck, I think that refers to your confidence. The less confident you get, the more difficult it is to drive. So things happen to you that wouldn't happen to you if you were more relaxed. Antonelli's going to be super relaxed at the moment, and poor old Russell's going to be super on edge. And next up, we've got Monaco, where you have to really be in control and focused. So we'll see what happens. But what a fantastic performance by Hamilton. His scrap with Verstappen in the last 15, 20 laps, where he was closing on Verstappen, caught him, and in the last 10 laps, he was all over the back of Verstappen. I mean, that was fantastic. That was great stuff. Really good to see. I know I've said that I think Hamilton is past it now, but maybe he isn't. I would rather be wrong, because I want Hamilton to win every remaining race in the championship and win the championship. So I really hope that I am proved drastically wrong. My prediction was wrong, of course, but could have been right. I predicted Russell for the win, Verstappen for second, Norris for third. Well, if it hadn't been for the mistake of being put onto inters, Norris could have easily been on the podium. I mean, he led at the start, although that was because he had inters on, probably. Verstappen could have finished third, but could have easily finished second, had Hamilton not got past him. And Russell was in the lead when he retired. So I could have had a little bit more accuracy there, potentially, than I did. But in the end, I got 0 once again, which means that I am on, it was 5 out of 12. So now I'm on 5 out of 15 now. God, I had 5 out of the first 6 podium places. Now I'm on 5 out of 15. Deary me. Russell, when he retired, oh dear, the distress, I felt it, even though I've never been a motor racing driver or a professional sportsman. I just remember the pain that I shared with Mansell whenever he had those retirements. And I just, God dear, I sort of felt it, that desperation. At least he has gone away with some points. He didn't get 0 points. He got 8 for the sprint. But that's not much of a consolation. But yeah, the Mercedes fighting, that's fantastic. McLaren, once again, messing up their strategy. They do that all the time. They've been doing that for years. Who have they got in charge of strategy? Because they keep messing up. They'll always have a pit stop when you shouldn't have a pit stop. It's not so much the pit stops they mess up, it's the strategy around it. I mean, they made a big mistake in Qatar last year, didn't they, which just handed the race to Verstappen. They decided to not pit during a safety car, and everybody else pitted. And so they were a whole pit stop behind. An absolute disaster. Could have lost them the championship. Could have lost them the Drivers' Championship. That could have. And that was just the most recent one in Qatar last year. And this one here, going on to Inters, when everybody else was, well, actually not everybody else, there were 7 cars on Inters. But as soon as the race started, they all sort of started to come in, as did the McLarens, to change. That destroyed McLaren's race. When Norris came out, he then went on the grass, which caused his car to overheat because of the grass somewhere in his car. And so he then had to have an earlier than scheduled pit stop. Piastri had a ding-dong with Albon, basically punched Albon out of the way, so he got a penalty. Absolute disaster. So they were retired 18th and Piastri was 11th. Hamilton outpacing Leclerc all weekend. I mean, Hamilton does like this circuit, but that's a fantastic performance, Hamilton to outpace Leclerc the entire race. Race weekend, basically. Practice, qualifying, races. He finished behind Leclerc in the sprint race, but had been ahead of him the whole race. And then he made a mistake, didn't he, which allowed, I think, was it Verstappen to get past? Can't remember. And then Leclerc got past as well. But Hamilton, I really want him to prove me wrong that he's not finished. I really do. So what else was I going to say? Yeah, at one point, I have to say, when we had the 2 Mercedes scrapping at the front, and then there was a bit of a gap, and then we had Verstappen and Hamilton scrapping, I thought I was showing, no, I wasn't showing more of an interest, but I was certainly showing an interest in Hamilton and Verstappen, because I thought that was the battle for the lead, because I was sure that the Mercedes were going to take each other out. I thought and they may well have done. Eventually, they may well have taken each other out. With Antonelli behind, you never know what's going to happen because he's so aggressive. And Antonelli is proving himself to be an extremely aggressive driver, just like Senna, when Senna was young and old. His whole career, basically, Senna was aggressive. And Antonelli, very, very punchy. They actually touched, didn't they, side by side at one point. Unbelievable. I think that was coming towards the final chicane, wasn't it? After the long straight. I'm sure they touched, Antonelli and Russell. So I thought they were going to wipe each other out, and the battle would be between Hamilton and Verstappen for a win. And wouldn't that have been great if that had happened? I mean, that would have been fantastic. Hamilton and Verstappen fighting for the win. Hamilton gets past Verstappen 2 laps before the end and wins the race. That's the only way this race could have been better, basically. I'd have also preferred it had Russell not retired, because regardless of being someone who wants Russell to do well, you know, you don't want to see that, because it just takes away the fun and the entertainment. Halfway through the race, the Mercedes battle is over. And it's really unfair to lose that much ground to your teammate as well, whichever one it is that retires. So what else was I going to say? I haven't really spoken about anybody else. Hadjar, great performance. Well, he probably won't see it as a great performance. Also, he did get a penalty, didn't he? Didn't he get 2 penalties? But it's still his highest finish so far at Red Bull. And the first time in 43 races that the second Red Bull car has finished in the top 5. That's amazing. Colapinto, another good performance. See his confidence. He's got confidence now. As soon as you get one good performance, it increases your confidence, and then you're good from then on. Lawson, great performance. Gasly as well, showing the strength of the Alpine. Suddenly, Colapinto, instead of finishing last every race, he's right up there. Sainz, yeah, there you go. I just wanted to talk mainly about Antonelli and Russell, and Hamilton and Verstappen. Championship, yeah, 43 points. But this is just too lopsided. There's no way that Antonelli is that much better than Russell to have won 4 of the opening 5 races. So we'll see it balance out over the year. Whether or not it will balance out enough for Russell to win, I'm not sure, because that is a big gap now. But all it takes is one Antonelli retirement and a Russell win, and suddenly Russell's straight back into it again. So if I had to put money on it, I'm sort of 50-50. If I had to put money, I would still say Russell for the championship, if I had to put money on it. Hamilton only just behind Leclerc. I noticed in the sprint race, of course, because Hamilton always finishes 6th. As I've said before, he was in 4th place, I think, with 1 lap to go. So he slammed on the brakes. 2 cars, including Leclerc, I think it was Verstappen and Leclerc. That allowed them to get past so that he could continue finishing 6th. However, this time he made a big mistake and finished 2nd. That's a long way from 6th. Mercedes, Ferrari, McLaren. It's the same sort of routine over here in the Constructors' Championship. Alpine doing very well. Okay, I need to go now. So, this was longer than I was intending, actually, this video, because I tend to rant a little bit. Yeah, great. Mercedes, Gilles, fantastic. And Hamilton versus Verstappen, fantastic. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. If you'd like to subscribe, please do so. Or like the video, or comment on the video, or leave a tip on the thanks button below the video. And I will see you, hopefully, on the next video, whatever it may be about. Goodbye for now.